what's up? It's your girl Bondi Blue, and I am back. Yes, I am back for another Iyanla Fix My Life, y'all. All right, I had to center myself and pray and get my spirit together because I awoke to some annoying local racism, and it just annoyed my soul. So you should follow me on Instagram if you're curious about that. But if you don't even feel like dealing with that this morning, I would not begrudge you, okay? Because I definitely wish that I had not seen that first thing upon looking at my phone this morning. Like, that's what I get for getting up and looking at Instagram. My fault. That was me. Anyway, we're here for Iyanla Fix My Life. In this episode, Brandi and Jason Maxiell from Basketball Wives and NBA fame came on the show to get help with their deteriorating, if not already over, marriage. They've been married for 8 years, and he has cheated on her every single step of the way, okay? And I'm gonna tell y'all something that I noticed. Brandi was always annoying to us. Brandi was always annoying to us on Basketball Wives. She would have her moments where we might like her, but for the most part, she was very whiny and just really annoying. And now I see why, all right? That woman is so hurt and upset about how this marriage has turned out. And I don't know why she's that hurt and upset, because it was clear as day that that's what she was walking into from the very beginning, okay? Let's talk about it. At the beginning of their relationship, when they were in high school, he had already had another girlfriend and was dating her at the same time, all right? Years go on and pass, they get engaged, and she gets cancer, ovarian cancer. We've all heard about her ovarian cancer. She let us know plenty of times on Basketball Wives, okay? During her trials and tribulations with ovarian cancer, she lost her hair. Jason cut all his hair off. He would make sure he came to visit her after every practice and spend time with her and support her during this time, because as a child, Jason was shown this type of love not by his parents but by his grandparents. His grandmother at one point got sick and passed away, and he saw his grandfather break down from that. But the only example of marriage that he saw was from them, and he thought that as long as he was taking care of the household and everybody was comfortable, that was all he had to provide in a marriage. And I think that's what a lot of young men think. A lot of older men think that too. I feel, they don't necessarily think that being faithful is a necessity in a marriage. But if their wife were to step out on them, then it would be completely over, because then you would feel disrespected. And men can't feel disrespected. Only women can feel disrespected and used and reused and constantly hurt habitually over and over and over again in a marriage. Okay, now like I said, he cheated on her throughout the entire 8 years of the marriage. Brandi only thinks that he cheated on her 8 times. I guess one every year he would let one of them be known. Or he would say, once every year, hey, I fucked up. I'm not sure. But all I do know is, upon investigation, Miss Iyanla found out that throughout his life, I don't know why they decided to bleep it out. Somebody was going to be good enough at reading lips to tell Twitter that Jason slept with 341 women and over 50 during the course of his marriage with Brandi. That number, she did not know. I feel like Iyanla, what difference did it make? Is 8 not enough? Like, is 8 women throughout the entire course of your marriage not enough? And we know that he cheated on her throughout their engagement as well. He even said himself, the night before their wedding, he had sex with a woman he met in a club. I think it was a stripper, okay? So here's the question. Why did she stay? And why is it that he can't keep his dick in his pants, all right? Now, we always got to go back to the parents, because it always starts with the parents. And Iyanla says that a boy that becomes a man is the man that his mother raised him to be. His father is the example that he sees and what he emulates. But his mother is who loves and cares for him and teaches him how to be a loving individual, okay? So she makes the man, so to speak, which I totally agree with that, all right? Women do that. That's why women can raise men, but they can't be examples of a man to show a boy. And that is the difference, okay? Either way, Jason was obviously missing something growing up. And then we look at Brandi. Brandi, who we found out did not find out who her biological father was until she was 28 years old, even though throughout her childhood she knew that the man who claimed to be her father was not really her father, and that he was also abusive to her mother, so she didn't want to love him. She didn't want to be his daughter. So she had all of these tumultuous relationships with men as a child, one of abandonment and not even knowing who her real father was, and the one of having the father that was present be abusive in a habitual manner to her mother, and she witnessed it all. And Brandi is living in some type of denial. It is like, I feel like it's like the evil bitch area of your mind and of your heart. When things have happened to you, you get into evil bitch mode, and you're not really evil. But what happens is everything is filtered through that pain. How she deals with him, how she deals with her son, how she deals with her family members, how she's gonna deal with any other man in her life, how she deals with other women. All of that is filtered through her experience as being a woman who has been cheated on and disrespected and thrown away and tossed asunder all of these different times. And she doesn't seem to think that she has been. All right, Iyanla had to wrap her in bandages and put band-aids on her so that the pain could be visual for Jason and for her, because they just like to sweep everything under the rug and act as if it didn't happen. And Brandi seems to trust that if he wants to do the right thing, he can do the right thing. And Iyanla asked of her to think of him a little bit higher than that. Give him more credit than that, to realize that there's obviously something that needs to be fixed within him, and not just somebody who's, you know, out having sex with numerous women, even though they decided to be married just for fun. That's not where this is coming from. What she talked about with him is that this is coming from some place of pain within himself, some place of punishment, to keep having sex with these women, keep putting himself, his wife, his family through this turmoil. It's some type of inner hate that he has. And at first he didn't believe it. He thought he loved himself. But his definition of love is somewhat skewed. Jason has never met his father. So there's another thing. Like, even though your mom might have loved you and you might have had that example through your grandparents, I think there is still something missing with, there's a person that should be in my life and they're not there. So there's a hole created. And Iyanla says the hole in his soul he tried to fill with women, and then we find on later on with alcohol. Throughout the entire first half of the show, nobody said anything about his alcohol use until Iyanla said she wanted to speak to their mothers, because she wanted to know what the backstory was and what their perspective of their children's relationship was as it pertains to the examples they set for them as parents, okay? And let's just say that Brandi's mama, okay, was definitely making some wrong decisions. Brandi's mama looked young as hell. Brandi mama and her look like they the same age. I was like, good Lord, her mama look good. But still, her mama obviously had some issues growing up, because she made some terrible decisions. First of all, Brandi's biological father was somebody that she met and had sex with one time. She went back to the man who she was with, which was her husband, who ended up being her husband, the man who abused her. And then she stayed with him, and she was never really sure of who Brandi's dad was. She wasn't really sure if he was the biological father, and she didn't find out until Brandi was 28 years old. There is some fucked up stuff going on with moms, okay? Like, I'm just saying, you sat there, you were, you know, just so much messed up family shit balled up into one ball. First, you don't know who the daddy really is, and you think she don't know, but she knows that. Then she's growing up in an abusive household, and then they have to deal with the issues of abandonment, knowing that the person who was really her father was probably living in close quarters or right around the corner from her, and she had no idea her whole life. That right there is a lot of fucked up shit. And I think it's so funny that we see these things come out nowadays, and people, when they're in their late 20s and 30s and 40s, you see that, oh, my childhood had some type of negative effect on how I deal with my relationships now as an adult. People always like to act like it doesn't matter, but it does matter. There are reasons why we do the things we do. And the people out there in this world who think that their decisions as parents are not going to affect their children, I want you to look at all the grown people around you and see how fucked up they are, and then trace that back to their parents being fucked up. Reassess and understand that what you put your children through growing up, what you think you're keeping from them, Anything that is dysfunction is going to affect them. And people normalize dysfunction. And then they think that nothing's wrong with it. There is something wrong with you not knowing who the father of your child is. There is something wrong with you being in an abusive relationship with someone just for the sake of a marriage. What are you putting your child through and her psyche through that now that she's an adult, she will now take on so much emotional and mental abuse from a relationship that in some way it's now become something that she's done to herself. And Iyanla let her know the first time he cheated on you, it was about him. But every other time after that, it was about Brandi and her mindset on holding on to something that was unhealthy for other reasons. Now, her reasons, which she told us, her vows. She really believed in her vows. I think that's bullshit. I think that's bullshit. It also says in your vows to honor your husband, and making him feel less than a man and talking about your child as if your child is only your child and not his child as well. All of that is not honoring him. He didn't honor himself, so he broke his vows with you, and that is the reason you give us? Bullshit. I think that you stayed with him because you had a comfortable lifestyle and you liked your comfortable lifestyle. I also think at some point people become comfortable with dysfunction. You become comfortable with the fact that y'all fight and argue ever so often and then have great makeup sex and y'all are okay for a little while, and then he does something else right before you're allowed to get bored, and then the shit is all stirred up again. I really do think that some people like dysfunction. Some people like being angry. Some people like fighting, because if you didn't, you would get tired and you would walk away. So some part of you is broken and wants to be in dysfunction because you feel like that's normal and that's where you should be. That is not true. So Brandi staying for vows or for her son is all bullshit to me. You stayed for you. Don't put that on anybody else. You stayed because you wanted to, because you like that lifestyle and you wanted to be with that man regardless of how he was treating you. Jason has to deal with the fact that he has abandonment issues that he didn't even realize was an issue. When Iyanla brought the mamas out, another thing we noticed was Jason's mom seemed very cold to me. Like, she was so detached from the whole situation. Not even detached, but angry, it seemed. Like she was trying to keep it cute, but she was mad. And you could also tell that there's a discomfort between the moms. Apparently at one point they were not cool at all, and Brandi's mom reached out to invite Jason's mom over to her house when she would have Brandi's son Brandi's son Jason. I don't know why I'm confusing the Nas. You know why? Because these situations are somewhat similar. Anyway, but she would invite the other grandmother over to spend time with her grandson when she had him, because Brandi would not allow his mom over to the house. And we never discussed why. And that made me mad. What is Brandi's issue with the mom? Okay, and Brandi says to Iyanla that it's not that she didn't want him or her children around the grandparents and all of that, but because they live away, it would have to be a trip taken. And she wasn't going, and I think that's because she don't like his mom. I don't give a fuck what she's talking about. You don't like that man's mama in such a strong way that you would do anything to keep her away from her grandchild and try to keep him away from his mom. And she doesn't understand that she uses her anger and she manipulates his guilt in order to get her way. And Iyanla kept trying to make her see this, and that's what I mean by the evil bitch shit, that you don't even realize that you're doing it. And then when people tell you about yourself, including your husband, including Iyanla, you are dismissive as if it doesn't matter, and it does, okay? You can tell that Jason is probably very mild-mannered, and any time that he gets into it with Brandi, he probably doesn't even argue. He probably gets quiet, he detaches, he walks away, and he goes to fuck somebody, okay? I can tell you right now that if he's still cheating on her, which I think he is, every time they get into an argument or he feels less than because of her, he goes and cheats on her because in some way he's getting back at her, you know, within himself. And I don't think they discussed that either. I really feel like Iyanla didn't delve in as deeply as she should have this episode. I was kind of disappointed. I want to know what Brandi's issue is with his mother, why she's using his drinking as an excuse. Okay, she's controlling how he deals with their child, and I think that's that evil bitch shit. Like, it does not matter that he cheats on you. It does not matter that you think he may have a drinking problem. Do you really think he's gonna put your child's life in danger? Like, having a drinking problem and, you know, drinking to the point of being incapacitated when you're the only person responsible for your child is another thing. And she really thinks that. She doesn't trust that her child is safe with his father, but then she wants to stay in a relationship with him. I don't understand that. How is it that you could want to be in a relationship with this man, want to work on a marriage because you see how great he can be, but you don't even trust him alone for an extended period of time with y'all child? That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. And that means to me that in some way you are using your position in y'all family against him when it comes to y'all child. And it also shows me that you want to be with him for reasons other than those that are virtuous, okay? Don't act like you want to be with him all out of love and all of that. I almost feel like you want to be with him just because you don't want anybody else to really have him. Because you know he can go and fucking cheat and whatever, but he's always married to you and going to come back to you, and you still can hold over all of that guilt over his head and get your way with him. I really do think that Brandi has become very comfortable in dysfunction. So when Iyanla brings Brandi and Jason to sit down together after talking to the mothers and talking to them separately, she asks him, does he think that Brandi is going to want to know the number of how many women he's been with? And he says yes. And she says, well, what's the number? What's the number? And Iyanla says, why does it matter to you? And she said, because I want to know. So she says it's been more than 50. And when she says that, she gets upset and walks off the set and doesn't care about why. Well, you asked the number. Why did you want to know the number if you didn't want to know why he slept with so many women? Like, it's almost like as long as she can stay away from it and keep it on the surface of, oh, he's hurting me and I'm being cheated on, then she can always blame him. But when she has to find out that there's something within him that is broken, and that is the reason why he cheats on her, then she would have to have some type of compassion and sympathy for him. And I don't think she really wants to. I think she likes to stay in this place. And you can just tell by the way she carries herself that she's comfortable staying in this place of anger. And she would rather be angry and upset than let him go and be free of all of that and just let it go. And that's what I'm talking about when people, you know, keep holding on to anger. You keep talking about, oh, you forgave him after all of the times he cheated, but obviously you haven't, because you're wearing each time he cheated on you like a fucking bandage. The way she wrapped her up was a perfect example of how Brandi's attitude and the way she acts with other people in the world is a total shower, a wound, basically, an open wound of everything she's been through and how she's so happy to stay in this content, angry little place because she doesn't want to have to actually do the work of being free of him and having to go out in this world alone and actually do it for herself without him. I really do think that she's scared of being alone. That's another reason why. Put that on the list. Jason has a moment where he breaks down and Iyanla has to hug him and comfort him, and she lets him know that every time he drinks, every time he sleeps with another woman, he is abandoning himself. It is something that he does to soothe the emptiness. It is something that he does to get away from something that he doesn't even know what he's getting away from. And that's when it comes to the pathology of people being broken and not even realizing they're broken because they've been living their whole life like that. He's been living his whole life with that hole of not knowing who his father was. And because he was angry about it and became detached from it, he was just like, fuck it, and never resolved the issue. He doesn't even know who his dad is, if he's still alive, anything. And I'm sure that if he would ever make peace with that, then he would be able to make the steps to make himself better, because he's become the person that he was running from. That's what everybody does. Last episode, it was the same thing. You're trying so hard to run from something that you run right into it. Or you're trying so hard not to be a certain type of way, and you end up being that way anyway because you don't want to deal with your damn issues. Jason needs to deal with his issues of abandonment, and she needs to deal with her issues of abuse and abandonment. Like, it's too much for y'all to continue living y'all lives pouring this venom into y'all children and not realizing it. And the fact that Brandi got so upset when they were talking about how manipulative she is, you are. And you don't even realize that you're doing it. Even you with the stank face and having an attitude, no, excuse me, no, bitch, excuse me. Like Iyanla said, she knew what she was looking at when she was looking at the two of them. And I don't understand why, if you're here and you realize that you need help, you don't want to deal with the fact that you play a part in the breakdown of your marriage. Like, it was all good as long as it was all his fault. Like, we come in here to fix him and his issues. I'm all right. That's bullshit. Okay? Just like he needs to deal with his drinking issues, you need to deal with your anger issues and your passive aggressive manipulative issues. You need to deal with that shit, Brandi, because it's not all on him. You've allowed him to hurt you in this way. Another thing. I really wanted to go back to this because I thought it was something that a lot of young women probably do. Referring to their son that they have with their baby father in them, calling him my son. Taking ownership of him as if he doesn't belong to his father. It's emasculating him. And I didn't even realize that until she said that. I was like, you know what? It kind of does emasculate them in some way because it makes them feel that it's only them and their mom, like it's them and their mom against the world, which makes them feel like they can't be independent and just stand on their own 2 feet, which is emasculating. So I didn't even realize that until she said it. But her ownership of their son in such a way emasculates the son, and it also emasculates his father, Jason, when she says shit like you weak in front of the son. And that's another thing. There are certain things that shouldn't be said in front of the children. And I understand that there's only so much you can hide because they're going to figure the shit out anyway. But your language, I think it's very important to watch your language and the things that you say, especially around young boys to their fathers, especially if they look up to their father, they love their father. Like it should be like that. I would hope that it's like that. You can't speak bad about their daddy in front of them and think that it's not going to have a negative effect on who they are as a person. That is a break in the unit. Okay? It's supposed to be mama, daddy, child. That's how it's supposed to be. Okay? And I don't mean mama, daddy, child. It could be mama, mama, child, daddy, daddy, child. Either way, it's supposed to be 2 people in a damn child, and a child is supposed to feel like they're a unit. And when they don't feel like they're a unit, that makes them feel unstable. So whether she wants to take responsibility for it or not, she has just as much a hand in destroying their son's spirit as the daddy does. Okay, because I feel like she thinks in some type of way he's going to be the downfall of their child, as if her anger and bitterness over the years won't do the exact same thing. But yeah, y'all, it wasn't really much resolution this episode as far as I'm concerned. The only thing we saw at the end was that, you know, they hugged it out and Brandi and Jason are going to continue to be in this relationship and work on their relationship. And I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. I don't know if Brandi and Jason really understood what was going on. I think if anything, Jason got more out of it than Brandi did. But, you know, I guess only time will tell, y'all. This episode of Iyanla was very good, and I think it was another example of the small things we do in our lives, and we don't realize the impact they have on our kids. We don't, you know, understand the impact they have on family when these things are allowed to take place and just become a normalized thing. It doesn't matter if you make it normal or not. It's still going to have the same effect. You know what I mean? But anyway, you guys, I'm going to go get me some crabs and hopefully my Sunday will get better. Power, Insecure. I don't know if I'm going to review Black Girls Rock, but I'll be watching it. Rel is coming on Fox for the first time tonight, the pilot episode. I can't wait to watch that. A lot of things. I'm also going to be adding This Is Us and 911 to my list of videos when those shows come out. So I hope you guys will come back and watch those reviews as well. You know, trying to give y'all a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? Or Bondi, yeah. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Y'all, I had to get them lashes off. Sometimes you just need to be able to rub your eye without worrying about your lash ripping off. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I hope I was still cute. You know, natural face, natural hair, giving it to y'all. Have a good Sunday. Be blessed. Be great. Be stress-free. Enjoy your life. Take a deep breath and get back in your bubble. Because I have to get off social media today. They made me too mad. I'm not getting back on social media today. I'm uploading videos and being zen in my peaceful home with my puppies and whenever my husband comes home. And hopefully my mama will come over. All right? So yeah, y'all, be happy. Be safe out here in these streets. And I'll see y'all in the next.